かち合うことができるなんて本当に嬉しいよ。
あなたはね、マーシャル・ロー。私の支えだったの。暗い病室で不安に怯えた私は、あなたにずっと支えられていたの。
What's going on, my friends? We're talking about this week's episode of Let's Play. This was episode number 8 of Let's Play, Quest-darake Know My Life. And I think this episode was really important to kind of set something that I think we've all wondered, right? At this point, Sam has kind of 3 potential romantic options. She has Charles, which is the best choice. She has Marshall, and then she has Link. And although I think it was last episode, right, that she went on a date with Link and ran into Marshall, but you know, she shared an intimate moment with Link and they shared an almost kiss, and basically like their relationship kind of leveled up a little bit. Even though that happened, this episode kind of reset that regardless of Marshall having a girlfriend or whatever the case is there, he is still the main guy and he is still kind of the main love interest when it comes to Sam. And that was set even more in stone because Sam reveals that when she was in the hospital, more in the teen adult area. So, you know, not recent, but like semi-recently, that Marshall was one of the people through his YouTube channel that was able to kind of get her through what she was going through, right? And I think that's very important, is like we all kind of have somebody who, you know, somebody or something that kind of maybe got us through a tough time. Whatever you want to paint that as is like, hey, we had this experience in life that wasn't good, but there was like this light at the end of the tunnel, and that light ended up being maybe a specific person, maybe a specific event, and in this case, maybe a specific like media or YouTube channel, or like, you know, he does Let's Plays and stuff. So, you know, she was able to kind of consume his content and get to know a little bit about his personality. Just like if you were to like, you know, go and binge all of my review videos, and maybe you have Crunchyroll, and then you have like my YouTube channel, and you go and watch some you know, new anime, and then you watch my video, and then you could be like, oh, well, you know, my boy Dom over there, maybe he got me through a rough time. That would be an honor, right? Like, I think that's kind of how Marshall views that too. But then that also kind of solidifies that Sam has like this deeper interest in him. And no matter the experience or experiences she may have with Link or with Charles, that, you know, Marshall just kind of holds this more special spot. And that can be tied into specifically with Link, because Link, Sam was that special person for him. Like, as opposed to an event or like a media thing, Sam was that person for him when he had a traumatic experience in his life. And Sam was that kind of that outreach to him to kind of get him through that tough time. So, you know, he instantly understood that, you know, hey, when Sam kind of mentioned that to Marshall, that like, oh my gosh, he's like, I've kind of lost the race before I really had a chance to compete, because he knows that feeling that he has towards Sam. And now he realizes Sam has that feelings towards Marshall. And that's a very strong feeling to have. So he instantly kind of like recognized that, you know, great recognizes great, or whatever you want to say. So I thought that was really, you know, a telling point in this episode. And the other thing that was kind of telling is, you know, Marshall fell ill, and kind of like every instinct that Sam had to kind of, you know, protect and nurture kind of came alive this episode. And of course, Link ended up showing up, and, you know, he's an EMT. He was able to help her and stuff like that. So, you know, he had an extra skill set that he was able to kind of add to it. But regardless, that nurture vibe, I thought just kind of came alive in Sam. I thought that was pretty cute. And then she definitely, you know, wanted to keep in touch and stuff. The other thing that was really important too is she had a very adult conversation with Link of like, you know, hey, I'm kind of in a confusing spot of my feelings, and I don't want to go how did she really frame it? I guess that you could sum it up as she kind of put it out there, put the feelers out there of like, I don't want to take that next step if it involves losing a friend, because I'm also not sure if I want to take the next step. I'm not sure if this is what I'm looking for, and I don't want to hurt you in the process, but I also don't want to lose you as a friend. And I was like, man, that's like a pretty adult conversation to have, like, you know, pretty, you know, upfront, pretty communicative thing, because she's basically, you know, letting him know, like, I just don't know, and I don't want to. I don't want to just don't know and risk losing a really good friend because of confusion, because we're figuring it out, you know? And I think that's really important. So we'll see what ends up happening with that. But I thought this was one of the better episodes just because it was like, okay, this seems a lot more, I don't want to say realistic, but it just seemed like the relationships here kind of made a lot more sense, you know, at least to me. And the other thing that I thought was really cute is Marshall's girlfriend, Monica. You know, she calls up Sam, and she basically uses her as like a guinea pig on her YouTube channel, and she uses her to kind of like do like a what do they call those makeup tutorials? Like not restoration. That's a car thing. I don't know what the right word is, but she kind of like re-beautifies her and basically shows, you know, her goal is to show that like, hey, most people, right? Not everybody, you can't paint it as everybody, but a lot of people have like this inner beauty that all they need is like the right tool set, you know, maybe the right guide, maybe the right person to help them pick out the right outfits and apparel and do their makeup and stuff. And she was able to bring that beauty out of Sam. And that was also instantly noticed later when Marshall finally ran into her. He was like, oh my God, you look so pretty. So I thought that was a really cool moment, you know, for Sam to kind of realize like, hey, you are really pretty. You just don't put yourself out there like that. And of course, a lot of it's going to be rooted in just her her self-doubt and her self-worth because, you know, she was sick for so long and, you know, that all makes sense too. So anyways, I'll just sum it up and say that episode 8, I thought was one of the better episodes of Let's Play. I think this episode was I don't want to overglaze it. I'll just say it was like a 7 out of 10. I don't think it's going to like, it wasn't win any awards. It didn't like set the world on fire, but I did think it was a good episode that was pretty important to the show. So as we kind of, you know, stumble our way into the last 4 episodes, you know, hopefully we'll get at least some, hopefully we get something when it comes to Sam's relationship with whether she chooses Charles or chooses Marshall, which is more likely the case, or chooses Link. Hopefully we just get something because we're investing these 12 weeks in the show. Even if it's not anything like crazy, hopefully we just get something that kind of shows, okay, she chose Marshall, she chose Link, she chose Charles. So I think that would be a really good thing, especially if it ends up being Marshall because he has a girlfriend. So it's like, what's going to happen there? Anyways, that's all I got for you guys. I'll see you guys next week for the next episode of Let's Play. Peace.